Hey there, my name's Kevin. I'm a volunteer with Toronto350.org and the project manager behind Toronto 350's Energy East Pipeline Crowd Map. Our group is a local network affiliate of the international 350.org movement. We are building a global grassroots movement to solve the climate crisis. I'm presently acting as the local group's volunteer development director and have been chairing our committee on tar sands pipelines. When we established the pipeline committee in January, there were big questions about what direction we were going to go in or what issues we were going to take on. Here in Ontario, we have a lot of extreme energy threats: oil by rail, tar sands pipelines, and we're sitting on top of rich reserves of shale gas just waiting to be fracked. A lot of people in our group have been working on the issue of Enbridge's Line 9 pipeline for a few years now. We're familiar with pipeline campaign praxis. When I heard about TransCanada's Energy East pipeline, I decided that this was a great opportunity for our group to involve itself in the next phase of the pipeline battle. The challenge I quickly encountered was describing the problem to people, and for that, we needed a map. For those of you who don't know, TransCanada's Energy East is a 4,500 kilometer long heavy oil pipeline, 70% of which will repurpose existing natural gas infrastructure. It runs from the tar sands in Hardisty, Alberta, through Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and northern Ontario, and if TransCanada gets their way, it will pass through Quebec all the way to New Brunswick. The big plan is to export heavy oil by supertanker from ports in Cacouna, Quebec, and St. John, New Brunswick. This is a new pipeline. It's bigger than TransCanada's other controversial Keystone pipeline, and will have the climate impact of nearly 4 of Enbridge's Line 9 pipelines. This whole project started off with a simple map, following the pipeline right-of-way on Google Earth. I wanted to show the people I volunteer with what it was and where it went, so we could have a conversation about strategy. To verify that the line was where it appeared to be on satellite, I would double-check the right-of-way at road crossings, looking for milepost markers. Plotting the compressor stations and other pipeline facilities helped me to connect a lot of the dots as well. I began to come across interesting stories about the pipeline, press releases from regulatory bodies, or various activities people were taking in their own community to raise awareness about the inherent risks. I began putting information on the map to build our own understanding. Eventually, I was plotting impacted First Nations, waterway crossings, and looking for other open-source data that could enhance our understanding of the issue and our ability to act. About a month after starting the mapping project, I showed it to some other community activists, and one question that kept coming up was whether or not we could make the information available for collaboration. Using our existing data, a lot of secondary research, and an innovative, open-source, crowdsourced crisis mapping tool called Ushahidi, we were able to put a version of our map online that is not only interactive, but user-driven. The user, the audience, can have a direct say over what goes on the map, and they are able to plot issues and events that are significant to them and to the campaign. What I'm about to show you should help you understand what we've created. I hope that you will join Toronto 350 in using this service to develop a better understanding of issues around Energy East and to plot your opposition to it. We are committed to stopping destructive tar sands pipelines, defending our climate, and defending our communities, and we hope that you are too. This is the Energy East Crowd Map deployment. You can currently find it over on the Toronto350.org website. That is Toronto350.org/map. This deployment is something that you can embed in an iframe. So if you're with a community group who wants to organize around Energy East, you can host it on your own website as well. And when we make changes, those will be reflected in what you see. We actually have it hosted right now in an iframe on our own page. We've put the original link and the code for embedding it onto the page below. I just want to touch on accuracy very briefly. The map is accurate and uses the best information and research that we had access to. For some of the segments, particularly those in Quebec and New Brunswick, I've identified small inaccuracies, but in order to resolve these, we will really need to wait until TransCanada files their project application in third quarter 2014. Right now, this map is more than adequate for organizing and researching. It will only become more accurate with time. There's a lot I can say about this, but there are really 3 key features that I need to tell you about. These are layers, categories, and reports. The primary data layers enabled when the first page loads are the pipeline and planned or existing facilities. The pipeline is the orange line which runs from Hardisty, Alberta through to the east coast of Canada. The small black circles are planned or existing pumping stations, and the white objects represent tank terminals, where oil will be stored or redirected into local transmission networks, like here, where the Moosomin tank terminal ties into the Cromer Lateral. Layers are information overlays that tell us things about the political and physical aspects of Energy East. Right now, it's possible to look at impacted nations, waterways, municipalities, and political ridings. I recommend strongly that you play with these layers. If you want something on the top layer, try turning visible layers off, and then turn them back on in reverse order, so you get the information that you want at the top. Ordering the layers is a small but important development challenge that we hope to address by August. Categories, like layers, contain information, but this content is user-driven. Categories let you sort the report types and look for the content that you want to see. Right now, instead of adding all of the information that we've compiled, we've added a few reports from each category type. This taxonomy will change over time, and in response to input from community members. Right now, you can search for reports with photos, videos, statements supporting or opposing the pipeline, environmental impacts, industrial incidents, contact with regulatory bodies, and the company itself. There is also a defense category, which shows activities being undertaken by land defenders, First Peoples, and communities across the country in order to build and empower a broader opposition. When you click on a report on the map, you get a small pop-up that lets you go through to the report content itself. Reports can be simple or complicated. They can contain original or reposted content. We encourage people to submit photos, videos, and articles that they've created themselves. You can include links to news stories, embed videos, and of course, make comments. The last thing I'm going to address today is the mechanic of actually submitting a report and what happens once you do. If you hear about an issue, read a news article, or participate in an activity that has a specific reference point in time and space, that is exactly what we want to hear. Submitting a report helps us develop an understanding of what is happening, where. It takes local activity and knowledge and makes it globally available. It helps people find out what is going on near them. To submit, just click on the Submit a Report button at the top of the page. At bare minimum, we need to see the title of the report, a quick description, a location, and you need to tell us which categories best describe the report's content. You can and should pick multiple categories to help more people find that content. Once you hit Submit, our team of volunteer content validators and moderators receive notification that a new report is waiting. Within a few hours, they will review the content, fact-check it, and decide how best to submit it. Approval isn't instant. It's done by volunteers, and honestly, it could take up to a few days, but that's to help us present the most factually accurate and insightful content possible. In the meantime, we suggest that you involve yourself in other ways by sharing other content on the site, commenting on other reports, or conducting new research and submitting new reports yourself.